Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Ask the Race Director with just 10 days until the Nationwide Children's Hospital Columbus Marathon. We know a lot of you have last minute questions, so I am joined here by Darris Blackford, the Marathon Race Director. We're going to spend the next hour or so getting all your questions answered. Darris, hi.
10 days. Oh my gosh. No, we are so excited. Thank you for having me again.
Yep, so let's hit the ground running. The first topic is something that I know is near and dear to your heart. This year, the Columbus Marathon has a very special partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital. Tell us a little bit how that works and how that the marathon will benefit the hospital.
So you're going to make me cry early. Early and often.
Get it out of the way.
This is such a great year. The irony of this being the 200th anniversary of the city of Columbus is just so fantastic that we get to make such a great we get to launch such a great partnership with our new relationship with Nationwide Children's Hospital. It has just already exceeded our wildest dreams in terms of what we thought could come out of this. And the kids have been wonderful to work with. The team at Children's has been great to work with. It's just so much fun. And every single mile is going to be fantastic because the kids are going to be out there cheering the runners and walkers on. The mile markers are going to have giant pictures of the kids. And it just, I can't tell you, it's been just such a great feeling to have this partnership take off so quickly and so well.
Are people able to still raise money for Children's Hospital?
Absolutely. The way people were able to originally raise money is when they registered, they could donate money, and they also could become what is known as a children's champion. Well, if they've already registered, that is fantastic, but it's very easy to go to become a children's champion athlete right up until race weekend. And we've got on our Facebook and our website, there's links to the Children's Champion page to sign up. They'll also have a presence at the Race Expo, so donations can be made, or being part of the Children's Champion team is all possible.
Perfect. So as we get going, just for those of you who are watching along, I want to remind you there are a couple of different ways that you can participate in our Ask the Race Director chat today. If you are watching it with us on Ustream, there's the chat area right there. You can chime in, ask some questions, and we'll have Darris answer those. If you are on Twitter, you can ask a question using the CBUS Marathon hashtag, or you can post your questions in the thread that we just posted on our Facebook page. So we have a number of questions that we've been getting from people, and so we have a lot that we're going to ask, but feel free to jump in if we haven't covered your question yet, and we'll get it answered by Darris. So to start things off, let's take one from someone from Twitter. Russell Duncan was asking about downtown parking. Where is the best place for people to park the morning of the marathon?
In Pittsburgh. No, just kidding.
Please don't.
No, just kidding. So this morning we actually sent out an e-blast which has all of our parking and traffic information. If you're not a subscriber to our e-newsletter, that's available through Facebook also. It'll be posted on our website. The options are, they're really endless in terms of opportunities downtown. There's 15,000 parking spaces right near the finish line in the Arena District. That's a smart place to park because you want to be closer to your car when you finish. You've just done 13 miles or 26 miles. The last thing you want to do is have to hike another 3 or 4 miles. So you park close to the finish. At the same time, we've offered up a brand new parking opportunity this year. If you park at COSI, the Center of Science and Industry, which is at Broad Street, just west of our start line, about maybe less than half a mile from the start line, over past Columbus City Hall, across the river downtown. We're going to have, you walk to the start, take care of things then. When you finish, we're going to have a shuttle bus that's going to provide free rides from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. back and forth to that parking lot. There's about 1,500, 2,000 spots over there, free shuttle, and that way your walk to the start is not that far. So it's really a couple good options there. But downtown, there's Columbus Commons has a great parking area. There's also other surface lots over near the start line. The other good thing is on Sundays, the meters are free, but you're going to be very challenged to find a meter available. Another place I would recommend if you're interested is the Hyatt Regency has a parking garage, which is also serves the convention center. And what's nice about that is you may park there on Friday or Saturday when you pick up your packet at the Health and Fitness Expo. But it's nice because it's kind of warm in there. And then you also can come upstairs into the Hyatt and be there in the lobby There's restrooms that are in the lobby there. So I would say that, for years when I've run this race, that was a secret spot that I parked. Now that I gave away my secret, it won't be a secret anymore.
See, you get the secret because you're watching Ask the Race Director with us. What time do people need to get to the event? When do they need to be at the start line?
Well, we have a very big problem in downtown Columbus right now. Traffic construction, road construction is pretty outrageous. So if you do like last year, those thousands of you who showed up late, you're going to be waiting in line on the highway. You need to get downtown as early as possible. We open up our start corrals at 6 a.m. and they close at 7 a.m. So you need to get downtown as early as possible. The good thing is, number one, we have added an additional 100 restrooms at the start line. We've got 330 portable bathrooms.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. We've also, as I said, the hotels and places like that that are open. They've got restroom facilities in their lobbies and things like that. There's also, if you park by the finish line, there's restrooms there. Use those on your walk to the start, and then you don't have to worry about it when you get to the start. The first 10,000 people to arrive into the starting corrals are going to get a pair of gloves that we branded with the logo, and those are free to you. And the first several hundred people that arrive to spectate in the bleachers are going to get a voucher for free pancake breakfast at our start line church, Trinity Episcopal Church. It's a fantastic opportunity. You can enjoy have some breakfast and as you wait for things to kick off.
What happens at the start line? What's that experience going to be like?
It is awesome. A couple years ago, the race was always, it starts in the dark. And when I took over as director, I thought, that was kind of a negative. So we turned that into a positive. We have spotlights like you would see at a movie premiere or something in Hollywood, which kind of direct everybody to the start line. We have live music. The Danger Brothers, which are an OSU tailgate institution, they're up there just playing great music. We've got phenomenal sound system, and we could rival any radio station out there right now with the sound system we've got planned. Concerts, I mean, it's top of the line stuff. Then we have fireworks, but because we felt that the fireworks went off and some of the 18,000 people may not get to see them as clearly because we have 18,000 people to get across the start line, we've added a second set of fireworks. So it's just a party. You're going to be having so much fun. You're going to be just, you need to slow down because we're going to get you excited to take off on race morning.
So the corrals you said are open from 6 to 7 in the morning. From Twitter @3snowflakes is wondering if you can explain how the wave process will work. So the corrals are a little different this year.
Yes.
Run us through that.
Yes. So the way it works is when you registered, you submitted a time that you estimated you would finish in. There are 6 starting corrals, and each of those are lettered A, B, C, D, E, F. Based upon your time, on your bib will be your race number with a letter. You go to the letter that corresponds to the letter on your bib, and that's where you line up. Now, we have the first 3 of those are on Broad Street, and the second 3, D, E, and F, are on High Street. Now, it's not a true wave like many races do, where they'll start a group and then they'll wait 10 or 15 minutes. New York Marathon waits probably 40 minutes or something like that. We're not doing that. What we're doing is, as we get A, B, and C cleared through the start area, D, E, and F will start their walk-up. They'll be led by some children from Nationwide Children's Hospital. So I'm anticipating that it's going to be maybe a minute is going to pass between the last person in C and the first person in D. So from your standpoint, you're really not going to notice any changes from our race or any other race that would have a continuous start. It's more of an operational thing, so we can get everybody around that turn, which is 7 lanes wide, and make sure that there's everything's cleared out, nobody, the clothing that's been dropped and anything else that's in the way. Make sure it's a safe passage, but you honestly shouldn't feel any sense of any different from previous years.
So quick question that we just got from Dolly. If she gets to the start line early and is in her corral like she is supposed to be, what happens if she needs to use the restroom? Is she allowed to leave?
Absolutely, you can leave. And I'll tell you from a running standpoint, running or walking, there's nothing worse than being uncomfortable and having to go to the restroom later on in the race. We have a couple solutions for you. Number one, we have all along corral D, E, and F, we have 100 restrooms lined up. you're able to go in and out of the corrals with your bib on. So you can either go to the restroom, then come in the corral, or kind of hang about maybe at the back of the corral, go out to the restroom, come back in, whatever you choose to do. Also, some of the corrals up on Broad Street where we weren't able to park as many restrooms along the curb are going to have some restrooms inside the corrals. So between those two things, you're going to be able to find the restrooms you need. We're also going to have, excuse my crassness, but we're going to have volunteers who are going to be wearing shirts that say, "Gotta pee, ask me." They'll direct you to where the restrooms are. So if you see a volunteer, you want to know where they are because it is dark. They'll have flashlights, they'll point you in the right direction, so you shouldn't have any problem finding the restrooms you need. Again, like I said, 330 restrooms is more than, it's 100 more than we had last year. So, do the math, 25 or more percent, 30% increase. So I think it's gonna help us take care of more people.
Tell us a little bit about the course. What are some of the highlights and what should our runners and walkers expect?
The course, again, with those children out there, it's going to be so exciting that every mile you're going to see a child out there. You're going to see the mile marker with the children on. Mile 9 is going to be extremely emotional. It's, oh, here I go. You can hear it in my voice. It's called the Angel Mile, and it dedicates children that have passed away. We had some parents come to us and want to get involved with that. So it's going to be lined with white feathers all along the mile. And there's going to be choirs out there. It's a pretty emotional thing. The course for the first half is exactly the same, and it is a fast half marathon. Our course record is 1:02 something, and I think it could go faster than that. So I know that not all of you are going to go 1:02, but if you're doing 2 hours and 45 minutes or 3 hours, it's still a forgiving half marathon. It's relatively flat. You've got a super downhill from mile 8 to 9. And then, actually, I made a mistake earlier. The Angel Mile is mile 12. But mile 12 is a flat course, straight up High Street. And then the last mile is a finish with a downhill finish. It's fantastic. Then the full marathon continues straight ahead up to Ohio State University campus. And the major change is you're going through Ohio Stadium for the very first time. This is our 33rd year, and we got the opportunity to run through the stadium. And it's not just sort of around the stadium or underneath the stands. You run down the entrance that the Ohio State University football team enter the field on game days. You cut across in front of the south stands, and you exit the opposing ramp out onto the rest of the course.
So it's funny, I was looking through some of the questions that we got for last year's Ask the Race Director chat, and Steve Calhoun specifically requested for the course to run through Ohio Stadium. So I'm sure that he and thousands of others are really looking forward to that part of the course especially.
Well, I'm hoping, because Steve, we have a big check to write, and I hope you're up to speed on that. You have to pay, buddy, pay forward. So continue with the rest of the course. Once you get up to about mile 20, that's the fastest part of the marathon. I mean, the first half was great, but you need to stay under control. Mile 20 is flat to downhill. 21 is flat to downhill. 22 to 23 is a downhill. It should be your fastest mile. If you've saved anything, you're going to go down First Avenue and you're going to be flying. Then it's got some roll to it. These are not hills, but they're grades. They'll keep you honest. Coming up Neal Avenue is flat. You finish, come up Buttles, and then you come down the finish. And again, it's a downhill finish. So you're going to really be able to make up some time if you've lost any on those grades.
What's the most challenging part of the course, you think?
Probably after you leave Ohio Stadium. You're going to be coming up, that's the biggest elevation change. It's probably a 100-foot climb, but it's only over maybe a quarter to a half mile. Getting through West Campus is challenging because there's not as much crowd support. It's really it's a part of Ohio State University that is typical. There's no housing around it. It's classrooms and buildings and some research centers, but there's no homes and that. So we've worked hard to add music and add colorful things, so to really liven it up some. But that's also a hard spot in any distance like this, mile 18, 19, 20, and they don't call it the wall for nothing.
So going back to the stadium real quick, there are probably a lot of spectators who are going to want to see their loved ones who are running or walking the marathon go through Ohio Stadium. What's the best way for people to get to the stadium?
Well, tickets start at $100. No, just kidding. So we've got something really unique this year. The challenge of Ohio State University is It's accessible to the public, but you also don't want a lot of cars driving in and out there because the course cuts it right in half. So what we've done is we have a free shuttle that will run from our finish line to Ohio Stadium from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And the nice thing about that is, if you're a spectator, you can see your family members at the start. You can walk a few blocks to see them at mile 9. You walk a few more blocks to see them at mile 13. As they continue on in the marathon up to mile 17 and a half at Ohio Stadium, which is 4.5 miles for them, you have to go about maybe a quarter mile, get on a shuttle bus, take a nice ride up to campus, which is about 2 miles, will get you there in about less than 10 minutes. And then as they're still running, you can go inside the stadium, grab something to eat at the concession stand, because you're going to be tired from that 10-minute bus ride and all, And then you go get your seat, and then when they finally come through, I don't know where they've been, after they finally get through, you can cheer them on. Then they have 8 more miles to go. You can leisurely get back on the shuttle, take the bus back downtown, and wait for them at the finish line. You get to see people 5 times. There's going to be 6 shuttles running continuously, so there should not be any wait. We'll have signage on the west side of the stadium, how to pick up the shuttle when you're finished, and when you get off, just follow the signs.
Perfect. We posted something on the Columbus Marathon blog earlier this week, I think also with some kind of key spots for spectators to watch. So if you are in the marathon and your friends and family are wondering where to go, send them that link and that'll help them kind of plan out their day also. From Facebook, Courtney is hoping you can explain how long is the course open?
The course is open until 3 p.m. Now, the way this works is we are structured to get everybody across the start line by 8 a.m. When that happens, the finish line closes at 3 p.m. So let's talk about that. Conceivably, if you're doing the half marathon, you have until 3 p.m. That's not going to happen because people have been concerned about the course closing for the half marathon at 11:30. Well, the fact of the matter is, you've got 3.5 hours from 8 a.m., which is when we expect the last person to cross the start line, until 11:30. But if it took you till 11:40, 11:45, noon, whatever, the course finish line's still open. The hard and fast rule is the marathon finish is 3 p.m. so that the last people in the marathon have to be there by 3.
Perfect. April, who is joining us this morning and watching on the Ustream chat, wants to know how the fluid stations are set up this year. She specifically was wondering if she can get fluid at miles like 13 and 25.
Okay, so we have 20 water stations this year, and we made some changes for the better. We've made, in our early stages, we have made some adjustments to create some larger, what we call super stations. We have one of those at approximately mile 2 3/4. We have another one at about 4.5, but our first water stop is actually right at mile 1. So in the first 4.5 miles, you've got 3 water stations. So as far as mile 13, when you come across, there's a water station at mile 12, right at mile 12 in front of the Great Southern Hotel. The 13th one is actually more like closer to mile 14. And then mile 25, we have one station at mile approximately almost at 22. We have one at 23.5. And then the last station, I believe, should be on Neal Avenue, close to 25. But it's not going to be an absolute at that mile marker, but it's going to be close.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, we're doing 30 tips in 30 days on the blog, and just one of the tips earlier this week was announcing that we launched real-time race tracking. So for people who want to share their progress, can you explain a little bit about how that is?
Sure. It works through texting, through Twitter, and also through Facebook. And basically, you can register, and it's a runner tracking system where if you go and register for that, when you start the race, it sends out a notice that you've started. And then at the 10K mark, which is 6.2 miles, at the half marathon mark, it will send a message. So people will know when you finish. It also tells you at what point in time, how you're doing, for example, at that 10K mark. That's for the half marathon. The marathon actually will also pick you up at the 13.1 mark in the full marathon. It picks you up again at mile 20, and it picks you up at final time at the finish line. So it's you can register, and it gives updates so people can follow you, and it's a nice system. Now, if you were an early registrant, you were able to be up until, I think, probably mid-September when we had to turn the bibs in. We've got you. You're able to do that. After that, I know you can still register, but it's. Oh, I'm getting cued. It's going to be on Monday. You'll be able to do that if you registered after, I believe, September 14th. So everyone in the half marathon can sign up, and there's no challenge because the half marathon sold out on Labor Day. The full marathon, most of the 7,000 participants were in by mid-September, but the, I don't know, 400 to 500 who came in after that will be able to register on Monday.
Perfect. So we will get back to race-specific questions in just a second, but I know you're really excited about the marathon support of Columbus's bicentennial. How is the marathon taking part in that and helping the city celebrate that big occasion?
That's a great question. With the 200th anniversary, with our event being such a viable, important part of the community now, I call us Columbus's longest parade. And we have a responsibility to celebrate as well as everyone else is celebrating the 2012 anniversary, the 200th anniversary. So what we've done is several things. We have a children's run on Saturday, the 20th, and you need to get your kids involved in this. I'll give a little quick plug for that. It's $10. They get a hat, a medal, a number, food. There's a clown. Their bib can be used to turn in for circus tickets with Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus. It's a great deal. And to see these kids running, we have the diaper dash, which maybe 25 yards or so, all the way up to a mile for 14-year-olds. So kids of every age can take part. Anyway, so those kids are going to wear number 200. Each kid is going to honor the 200th anniversary that way. Our race shirts feature the 200th logo. We also have got a special prize of sorts. Every 200th finisher, whether you're the 200th person or the 17,000th person, if you fall on number 200 in that range, the 200th person crossing the line at a time, you're going to get a free 10-pack of Chipotle burritos. I mean, it's basically dinner for a day, maybe, 10 burritos or free. So you and 9 friends get to have
burritos in one day.
Well, you know what? It's Thursday. I have burritos every Thursday. This is true story. So we have a great relationship with the city of Columbus and the mayor's office, and we're proud of that. The bicycle escorts have got that are out there with the wheelchairs. They'll have the 200 logo. But the other thing that we did this year is this is the city's 20th anniversary of the Dresden sister city relationship. So in honor of the 200th, I was basically able to do some research and find out that there's a marathon in Dresden, Germany, which is our sister city, the same day as our marathon. So we're sending 20 ambassadors to go to Dresden to represent Columbus in the Dresden Marathon. And we're going to, at the start line, you're going to see a video of them, and you're going to see this at the Race Expo. And we try to do some things that were obviously running and walking related, but were also a lot of fun.
Perfect. Tell us about the expo, especially packet pickup.
Well, number one, Battelle Grand is the room, not Battelle Hall, because that's a very important distinction, because Battelle Hall, the sign when you get there is going to say you need to turn around and go to Battelle Grand. We'll have it well marked, well signed, but the entrance that people might go to, it was a previous entrance in past years. It's also what entrance the Capital City Half Marathon used. That's not the entrance. Battelle Grand is located between the Hyatt and Hall A of the Convention Center. So when you park in the parking garage or somewhere downtown, just start walking like you're going to the Convention Center, and you'll see plenty of signs. If you go to Hall D, where we used to hold it, you're going to see signs directing you over to Battelle Grand. This year, the expo is bigger than ever. We've got, I believe, 120 exhibitors. We have the entire hall of Battelle Grand, and we've also because it's such a beautiful refurbished room. It's got wonderful lighting. It's carpeted, and it's just going to be a really exciting, neat venue for us to have the expo. So you'll find plenty of merchandise and free things from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Friday. We have the happy hour. We have vendors that are offering deals and discounts. We're also going to be entering to win, I have entered to win contests. People are giving away Ohio State football tickets. Our grand prize from the marathon is entry for 2 people for 2013 plus hotel. So you're going to want to come and enter, take advantage of that opportunity. So Expo offers you your race shirt, your race number, your goodie bag, all the things you're going to need for the race.
And that's the only place they can get their packet, right?
Correct. That's the only place you can get your packet. If you can't make it, you can have someone pick up your bib and your goodie bag and your shirt. They need to bring their ID. They don't need your ID, but they do need a copy of your email confirmation, which is going to go out early next week. If you can't make it, give that to them. They can bring it, and then they can pick up. They're going to have to sign for your items. They're going to have to check that they are who they say they are, but at least you can do that. However, you don't want to miss this expo. It is such a great opportunity to meet all the other participants, see the kids there. It's going to be a great opportunity, a nice time.
Perfect. Talking about meeting up with other people, we have a really active following on Facebook and Twitter, and we have a number of people who have mentioned that they want to meet up in real life and not just know each other online. So we are hosting a tweet up at the Expo on Saturday at 11 a.m. So if you are one of our Facebook or Twitter friends, feel free to join us for the meetup, and you'll get a behind-the-scenes tour and some fun that way also.
Didn't we just do that? I'm just kidding.
So if people need to change their finish time, can they do that at the Expo?
Yeah, so as far as the corral letter that I talked about earlier on your race bib, if you started your training in June and you put down 5 hours and your training has gone well and you've lost some weight or you otherwise have gotten shape or you figured this running thing out and you just feel like, I think I'm going to run more like 4 hours. Well, you go to what we call Corral Solutions and you explain to the folks there that, hey, I lost 100 pounds or I got more into shape this year than ever or whatever the reason is. They're very experienced runners, so they're not going to like the excuse of, I really want to run with my friend or I just want to be done earlier because I have to get to whatever. You got to be convincing, but if it's a convincing story and they feel you can move up, they'll give you a new sticker, you put that over your number. The reason we don't want people just to move up randomly is because of safety. With 18,000 people out there, excuse me, you don't want to be out there and all of a sudden choosing a time that's faster and then getting run over. I mean, the fast people, the thousands of people behind you and in front of you, if the times don't kind of work together, somebody could get hurt. So please respect that.
We have been taking questions on Facebook and Twitter throughout this whole time, and so we've got let's do a little rapid fire of questions. TryCred23 is wondering what flavors of Cliff Shot, gels, and Gatorade will be available at the race.
Cliff Shots, mile 7 and mile 16, chocolate, vanilla, and raspberry.
Perfect.
Gatorade, lemon lime, 20 stations. It's the Gatorade first, followed by the water.
Tim Graham wants to know if you can explain how the pace teams work and how do they begin the race, how do they handle aid stations, do they pace differently for the first 20 miles versus the last 6 miles?
Okay, the Cliff Bar pace team is, again, coming back to our race. There are 12 groups. We're the only race in the country that Cliff Bar does that we've been able to get the opportunity expanded. We start at 3 hours. 3:05, 3:15, 3:25, 3:35, 3:45, 4 hours, 4:15, 4:30, 4:45, 5 hours, and 5:30. The way they work is pretty simple. If they are placed into the corrals just like you are placed in the corrals. So if you submitted a 4-hour time, the 4-hour pace leader is going to be in that same spot as you. So when you start the race, you can run along with them. They don't start their watch until they cross the start line. So let's use 4 hours as an example. It may take, you may be back in Corral C or so. And when you need to get when you cross the start line, they're going to hit their watch, you hit your watch. It's all on chip time. They are going to work to get on pace as soon as possible. Let's say it's a little crowded and it takes a mile and they're a minute down at mile 1. Well, 4 hours is a 9-minute pace. Well, now they're at 10 minutes. Well, they're not going to make it up by mile 2. They may make it up by mile 4 or 5, slowly, incrementally making up time. And they are going to stay at the pace when they're on pace, they're going to stay on pace. They'll finish about a minute or so underneath the goal time. They don't bank time. It's just a nice, steady pace. You run your race. If you like running with them, great. They'll carry a balloon and sign the whole time, so you always know where they are.
Perfect. We have heard from a lot of marathoners that they are running because they love to eat. And more than a couple people, including Kimberly and Healthy Strides, they want to talk about food. So what should people be eating Friday and Saturday leading up to the marathon to make sure they're well nourished?
You should have macaroons today. That's what I just finished. They're delicious. We have a blog posting going out tomorrow on what to eat next week. It's from a nutritionist, a nutrition expert who will also be speaking at the expo on Saturday. Jonathan Scott has a PhD. He's a marathoner. He's just a great guy too. He puts on a great presentation. If you check out that blog, you'll see some of the tips. But basically, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overeat. You don't want to overindulge. You want to stick to the things that have been working for you in training. Maybe just kind of load a little bit more. Make sure you're eating a rounded diet still up until the end of the week. Once you get to the weekend, you don't want to try anything new. And a tip that I learned from Jonathan in the blog, which I think is great, is in Saturday in particular, have a dinner-size lunch and a lunch-size dinner on Saturday. That way you eat early, you eat a big meal earlier, middle of the day. Then at nighttime, you don't go crazy and you load up on stuff and you end up, being so full that you don't have a chance to digest things overnight. So a dinner-sized lunch and a lunch-sized dinner. Beyond that, you just need to be smart about your hydration. You need to be making sure you keep your fluids up, but you need to also, to be crass about it, it shouldn't be totally clear when you pee. If it is, you need to back it down a little bit. You don't want to wash out all the nutrients and all the electrolytes that you've been so busy working to get into your system. You want to make sure that you stay hydrated, but you don't overdo it. So if you're going to the bathroom every 3 or so minutes, you've done way too much. Slow down.
Too much liquid.
Too much liquid.
Leah Mikesell and Dan Catalano both want to know about post-race food. What is available? Great
question. And again, I am extremely pleased that we've got a much better post-race finish line offerings this year. Number one, when you finish the race, the first thing you're going to see is some Gatorade and water right away. As soon as you get your warming blanket and your medal, if you need something to drink right away, grab something there at the tables there. We're going to have Dairy Queen is going to be offering fruit smoothies, which is just fantastic. It's a nice nice taste there to get in some of that immediately after you finish. Then when you enter the Celebration Village finish line area, we're going to have bagels, we're going to have chocolate milk, we're going to have pretzels, we're going to have chips, both of those. We're going to have a granola bar, we're going to have a Zone Perfect protein bar, we're going to have chocolate, Hershey's chocolates, and we're going to have chocolate milk. Did I say chocolate milk already? Either way, we're going to have that.
We'll have it either way.
We'll have it so much. You're going to love the chocolate milk. Then, that's a lot of food. I've done a lot of these races, and including ours last year, this is the best food we've ever had. The other thing that's nice about it is it's in a bag, so you don't have to be fumbling trying to carry all these things. Volunteer will hand you an orange bag, and you can be on your way. There's additional water that'll be available if you need it. And then once you finish up, if you put any food items in your goodie bag, which I always do, is I put my favorite snacks in the goodie bag, or the drop bag, which is the same as your goodie bag you get at the expo. You can use that as a drop bag, and I'll go back and talk about that in a second. But the bag drop is right there at the finish. You go get that, and your dry clothes and your snack or your car keys or your cell phone will be waiting there for you. The way to go back a second, your goodie bag after the expo, you use that as a drop bag. You tear your number bib off, there's a little tag on that. You tie that to your bag, and we have 3 drop zones at the start line. Any of those 3 drop zones, leave your bag, we'll move it to the finish line for you, and I'll be waiting for you. Plus there's food vendors in the finish line area along one of the streets there, so you can, your family or friends, or if you've got some money that you put in your drop bag, you can go buy all the things that you've been missing in recent weeks.
Julie Bruscotter wants to know how the family reuniting area is organized. What's the best way after someone crosses the finish line for them to reunite with their friends and family?
Well, because of the challenge that we've had in the past of people stopping at the fence and trying to, back in the food area or back in the finish area, that we've had to add a mesh covering over the fencing. So your family can see you, they can sit in the bleachers. We have hundreds of seats in the bleachers for you to utilize. And I would say sit in the bleachers, be excited and relax there, or line the fencing coming down the finish line. And then as they're working their way through getting the metal and the blanket and the water and all the food, that's going to take 5 to 10 minutes for them to walk through. So work your way down to Celebration Village. There's going to be family reunion letters, and it'll say that. You just go to whatever your last name is and pick the letter and meet your family there. You also, there's a stage there with music. You can also say, hey, let's meet at the stage. Or, if you end up going to the finish line for your parking in the morning, maybe scope out a spot near one of the exhibitor tents or one of the other areas there and make that your meeting spot. But the family reunion area is very well marked with feathers and big wind feathers, so it's going to be very well marked.
Perfect. We've had a couple people ask us if there are post-race massages available, or is there an area where people can grab a shower or change their clothes, something like that?
Yeah. We do have post-race massage. Right where I told you that the baggage drop is, on that same walkway, right next to Celebration Village, there'll be large signs that say massage. It's as simple as that. You walk in, and if there's no line or a short line, you can just hop in. We've got dozens of massage therapists there to help you. You may sometimes, it depends upon how crowded it gets, and depends on the day, you may have to wait in line. But it's not a 30-minute massage. So they'll take care of you. As far as shower facilities, I understand the YMCA, which is over on Spring and Front, again, will have shower opportunities available. I would recommend get online. If you're online now, you know how to use a computer, right? Get online, research the Columbus Downtown YMCA, give them a call, and just confirm that you can what the shower situation is going to be. But that's a real easy, great opportunity. I know that people have done it every year. They contacted us and told us that people can also go there in the morning if they want to stretch and stay warm. It's not super close to the start, but it's between the finish and the start. So maybe halfway there, you can walk, you can stop there.
Perfect. Blankets at the finish line, those will be available again, right?
Yes, perfect. So we'll have, it's called a heat shield, but they're
like blankets.
They're like blankets. It's basically it's a large silver wrap that you put on, and they really do work. They hold in the body heat. Now, again, I would always recommend doing a bag drop with the warm clothes that you like to have, unless you've been able to park really close and you can get yourself to your car where your warm clothes are. But even if it's a nice, beautiful day that we're going to have, it still gets windy, breezy around the buildings, around the arena. So I would recommend wrap yourself up in that heat shield and then work your way going to get some dry clothes.
Perfect. Tommy Grant and Sarah Newell want to know what the shirts look like this year.
The shirts they were for a long time on our website and on Facebook, I believe. But our theme this year is Inspire. And it has the words 26.2. I spelled it out this year instead of put the number on the front, because then when people come up to you and say, hey, how far is that half marathon? It says 13.1 written out. Or, hey, how far is that marathon? 26.2. And it also, the word inspire is kind of neat, because we held a Facebook contest earlier this year, and we asked our followers to submit ideas and words that inspire them. So you'll read those. There's things like ice cream and skinny jeans and the children of Children's Hospital or family or whatever. Those words are actually on the shirt, so you can actually it's some fun to see that. Pizza, other inspirational words. And then the back of the shirt, for the first time ever, at least that I know of, features our course map, which is just a neat thing to see. It's I've seen that at other races, and we've turned it out so then people can you can show people where the course goes.
Very cool. We've heard a few people are experiencing kind of some tightness in their muscles with just a week and a half or so to go. What do you suggest for people who are concerned about some nagging injuries that they're experiencing?
Well, first of all, I will tell you that if it's a major injury, you certainly need to go to your doctor. But this is exactly the time where you feel those little aches and pains. It's called the taper. I just did a blog posting about it this week. The bottom line is your body, after weeks or months of training and waking up and going through those long runs and building up to for your half marathon, building up to maybe 11 miles or maybe even 12 miles, or the full marathon, you got up to 22 or even 24. All of a sudden you're not doing that anymore, and your body's like, yes, I can recover, and it's your body's healing, and those little aches and pains are somewhat of your body rebuilding. Also, some of it is psychological, and I can tell you, I've been through there many times before, and it drives you crazy. You've got boundless energy, you're bouncing off the walls, your body's trying to rebel against you because it finally sees a break in the action, it can fix itself, and you're going to psychologically, because this is kind of a big deal you're going to be embarking on in a week, and your brain is saying, oh, I can't do this, I have a sore or whatever. Well, unless you're seriously injured, and you know if you're seriously injured versus a little ache and pain, it's probably not going to be much. Continue to do your regular, if you're doing stretching or whatever you're doing, keep up those things. Maybe in your jogging, maybe loosen up a little bit more than usual when you go out for your run. But 9 times out of 10, it's just the taper saying it wants its life back. Your body wants its life back. So hang in there.
So Jake was just telling us on Facebook that he thinks he's developed tendonitis in his hip. And so is it better for him to rest for the next 10 days, or should he do some shorter runs?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give medical advice because I'm only a doctor on the internet,
only
not
on
in real
Ustream.
life. Only on Ustream. So, no, I would say if it's something like tendonitis in your hip, I mean, I've had it before. I've been able to just kind of work through it, but I've not worked through it before a race. It'd be more in training than that. So, if you can maybe get in to see somebody. If it's not that severe, you might be able to just kind of loosen it up and take it easy, back it down a little bit. But if it's really hampering you, I would just be safe. It's better to be safe. You work too hard to do any damage to yourself at this point. So just be careful.
Perfect. Molly Bixler wants to know if you have some advice for the over 50 set.
Did you know how old I am? Is that what this is? The over 50 set, I'm going to be 50 next year, and I'm feeling as great as I did at the under 30 set. So, it's just, as far as for your training and your running or walking, number one, it's awesome you're out there because there's people that are in their 20s and 30s that are going to be laying on the couch while you're out there doing this phenomenal event. So, if you're this far into it and you're getting ready to take part in the event, don't worry about age, just go out there and enjoy yourself. But as far as if you do want to get into some things where you want to maybe do some better training or some longer races or maybe move up from the half marathon to the marathon, get a great training program, be fair to yourself and understand that you are over 50 and you're maybe not going to want to go out and hammer out a bunch of fast miles right away, warm yourself up. But you know what? Being over 50 also means you've got a lot more knowledge and insight than people that are younger. So be smart, use your common sense, and have fun with it. That's the key, is have fun.
What about people who feel like they're behind in their training a little bit? So she's one person, for example, is supposed to do an 11-mile run. The longest she's done so far is 8.5. How do you kind of catch up, or what can you do at this point?
Well, this is for the half marathon, I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
I would say I would probably not do the 11-miler. You've done 8.5. The hay is in the barn up to that point. If you slow down in the race, you're going to be okay to go from that 8.5 up to 11 or 12 anyway. The last mile is going to be for fun. There's 2 things I would recommend. Number 1, when you start the race, you want to take the talk test. You want to talk to somebody next to you or your friend or anybody you're running with, or if you think you can carry on a conversation. That's the key. If you can carry on a conversation, then you're probably not going too fast. If you're not going too fast, you're conserving your energy and you're going to be able to sustain your effort longer. So the 11-miler this close, I think, is just dangerous because you risk injury. You also risk just being too tired for race week. It's better to be undertrained than overtrained. Again, your expectations need to be lowered. You're not going to go out and do something, set any personal best probably. The last thing is, if you've been able to run or jog 8.5 miles, you can walk 13. So if you get out there and you're running along and you get to 7 or 8 again, and you start to get tired, it just becomes too much, slow down and walk. There's going to be thousands of walkers that have paid and signed up to be walkers. So enjoy that moment and be out there and have fun with it, and don't put pressure on yourself. Just enjoy it. You're gonna be okay.
One quick question about tapering for the half. Someone said that her plan has her running 10 or 11 miles the weekend before the marathon. She's wondering if that's right, or is that going to be too long?
Well, the reason the last person, the reason I advised her not to do the 11 is because it doesn't sound like she'd been following a consistent training plan. Mm-hmm. If you've been following a consistent training plan, you want to be consistent with that plan. Those plans are designed because thousands of people have used them, and there's been a buildup of some sort. So if you've been following that plan, don't deviate from the plan. If it takes you to 11 miles, but you built up to that point, then that's great. But if you haven't followed a consistent plan, or you've been kind of you've run into some timing issues or whatever, you want to maybe back it down a little bit. So that would be, consistency is key.
April wants to know if there's a way to check her time online to see what finishing time she entered before she gets to the expo.
It's real easy. Just send an email to registration@columbusmarathon.com, and that'll be, we can look that up real easy. Although, if you wait until early next week, your corral is going to be decided, or you're going to be announced. When you get an email from us next week, it's going to have your bib number in your corral. So you can just wait, and then if your corral has changed, you can, or if your corral is something you're not, and you want changed, you can just do that at Corral Solutions. That may be the easier way at this point. Since the bibs are already printed anyway, it won't really matter until that point.
We've had several first-timers tell us that they've heard about this thing, Marathon Magic. What is that?
Marathon Magic. You know, it kind of goes along with what I was advising earlier about the person who's trained up to about 8.5 miles. You can't fool the marathon or the half marathon. If you haven't put time and effort into it, there's no magic involved. It's going to hurt, it's going to take a long time, and it may not work out for you. But if you've trained well and you've been consistent, the taper and relaxing over the last week to 2 weeks before the event, or sometimes as many as 3 weeks depending upon the training plan, your body will respond favorably, and you will be able to get out there, you'll be relaxed, and you'll end up running faster than you projected on that day. Now again, for that magic to happen, the first thing is you need to respect your pace early on. So if you've trained to do a 4-hour marathon, you're not going to run a 3:30. But if you've trained to do a 4-hour marathon, and you go out and you run the first half at around 2 hours and 5 minutes, if you've kept yourself relaxed and you get up to mile 20, you may find that last 10K comes easier for you, and instead of losing time, you may stay consistent, and you may break that 4 hours, and you may run a 3:58 or a 3:55, and you'll have a phenomenal time doing it.
Perfect. What advice would you give for first-time marathoners? Pace yourself?
Well, again, number one, you chose an excellent marathon, and I say that from experience. Columbus was my very first marathon, and it's a great first-timer race. As a first-timer, again, if you followed a training plan and you've been smart about that, you're going to be able to do it. It's such a wonderful feeling to get into those miles that you haven't experienced before. If you get beyond 21 or 22, and that's as far as you went in training, it's kind of fun to see what 23, 24, and 25 are like. And if you've been smart about it and you've gone out conservatively and paced yourself, you're going to have a phenomenal time. There's nothing worse than going out too fast, as I did in my first one, and walking, as I did, in the last few miles. So you want to be smart about it and enjoy it. The last thing for first-timers is you're going to set a personal best. Whether you finish in 6 hours or 7 hours or 3.5 hours, so don't put pressure on yourself. Enjoy this moment. You've worked hard. Have fun with it.
We had a couple people who are wondering if there's anything that they can do right now to prepare for the post-race recovery period.
Well, I mean, I would kind of think about what my diet is going to be after the race. I would think about what kind of proteins and carbohydrates I'm going to have, and plan something that I want to eat in the hour, even immediately. I mean, if I know that I really want to have a protein shake, or I want to have some certain kind of carbohydrates that I didn't mention is going to be available at the finish, bagel and bananas and more foods like that, and pretzels and things. If there's some other item that I want, put it in my drop bag, so I know that within that first hour I'm going to be able to get that. And then beyond that, as far as planning for what you're going to eat, you're going to kind of have to go with what your cravings are. You may not even know now because you haven't done this before. When you finish, your body's going to kind of tell you, either whether it's sodium or maybe some sweet things or some carbs. I mean, it's kind of go with those things.
Perfect. For people who aren't signed up to run or walk but still want to get involved, are we still looking for volunteers?
I will come to your house today and sign you up. Yes. Volunteers are so important, and we have a great volunteer team and great volunteer recruitment. But even so, getting 2,000 plus people to be part of this thing, it's difficult. That's a lot of people. We're ahead of volunteer recruitment farther than we've ever been before, but it's still never too late for someone to become a volunteer. We have some great opportunities. We announced those today in our e-blast. Number one, we have expo volunteers that we need. We also always need course marshals. And I think the expo includes t-shirt distribution, so you're indoors at the expo, that's available. And then other job opportunities are available. If you go online to columbusmarathon.com, click on volunteer, you can sign up online for all sorts of different fun opportunities. And it's just a great way to give back. You get a shirt, it's a lot of fun. The expo, if you're working there, it's indoors, like I said, and you get to see 50,000 people coming through the doors. So we'd love to have you, especially with our partnership with Children's Hospital. We've become a much more popular, desirable event because of that partnership, but that also means we have that many more volunteers that we could use. And you're helping out a great institution in Nationwide Children's Hospital.
Perfect. We have just about 9 minutes left to go. So we have a few more questions that we want to get through that we've been getting, but for those of you who are watching, feel free to send us some couple questions and we'll do a little rapid fire real quick and try and get them all answered for you. First up, Emily wants to know if we'll be posting a map of the corrals before the race.
The map of the corral, we don't have a map, but it's very simple. You take the stretch of road on Broad Street between 3rd and High, divide that into 3. Same thing on High Street between Broad and State Street, divided into 3. Each corral has about 3,000 people in it. It's real straightforward. Your letter, again, will keep you organized, and we have done everything we can to get everybody through there as quickly as possible.
Michael Theodore wants to know what made us decide to add the part about Ohio State.
I've been the race director now, this is my 3rd year, and I've run the race 15 times in the past, and the race has gone around the stadium, in front of the stadium, next to the stadium, and I just wondered, wow, I wonder what it would take to go through the stadium. And it turns out no one apparently had ever asked the question. So I put together a report and told Ohio State why I thought this would be a good idea, because they do it at Notre Dame, they do it at Wisconsin with the Ironman, they do it at Green Bay, at Lambeau Field, they do it all over the country. And I was able to show them that we would be good stewards and good neighbors and make this work. And really, to me, it's the final. I describe this to somebody that picture a beautiful model who has a tooth missing in the front. This stadium was right there, and we went right by it. Having it now, it completes the smile that is the Nationwide Children's Hospital Columbus Marathon.
Well, there you go. What should people wear on race day?
I cannot tell you what the temperature is going to be like, but I can tell you it will be cool. It doesn't look like it's going to be warm at this point, but even so, it is October. So wear as much extra clothing as you choose to. You are going to get a free pair of gloves if you're in the first 10,000 to arrive, but also wear throwaway clothing that you can get rid of. Stay warm. There's no reason to be shivering there at the start line in your race shirt or your race singlet and your shorts. Wear a pair of sweatpants, throwaway clothing. Because what happens, as soon as you throw that stuff off right before you start, or when you get out to mile 1, you toss the stuff aside, Goodwill picks that clothing up. It's all donated to Goodwill. This year, they're being very entrepreneurial, and I love this idea. Goodwill's going to be at the Race Expo selling inexpensive clothing. Now you think, why? Why would they want to sell clothing? Well, think about this. They're going to sell the clothing, you're going to give them money, then afterwards, they're going to get the clothing back when you throw it away. It's a perfect win-win for Goodwill. So if you don't have any throwaway clothing or things you don't want to get rid of, come to the expo and pick something up from them and then give it back to them at the start line.
Perfect. I think people are loving the idea of the shirts saying inspire, and Brian on Twitter just wanted to know if it's possible to order a race shirt.
Wow.
And we've stumped the race director.
It's stumped the race director. Well, my first goal is to give everybody a shirt that's been ordered. You get the shirt you order. If we have extras, you certainly could send us an email and we could see about doing that. We do have a great retail partner though, and we have an awesome marathon store, including an online store that'll be up and running. So you might see some other things at the expo which feature the logo and the event name. So if you don't find something you like, certainly send us an email to info@columbusmarathon.com and we'd certainly be happy to reach out. But we're not going to give them out before the race. We want you to earn those shirts.
So just a couple minutes left. Do you have any last words of advice or any last bits of information you want to let everyone know?
I mean, the number one advice that I just cannot stress enough is please arrive early. I just hate to see people stuck in traffic at races I go to, and I see it all over the country. I've seen it in Los Angeles and Dallas and New York and Philadelphia, and I can go on and on. Be there early. Take that hassle out of your day. And arrive early. There's plenty of restrooms. There's plenty of places to go and be comfortable. Get into the spirit of it. With all the music playing and all the stuff going on, the time will fly, I promise you. But there's no reason not to. Other than that, just thank you for supporting. I'm going to cry again. But thank you for supporting us. It's a big job. And with Nationwide Children's Hospital as our partner, we're so blessed to be able to put this race on. And just thank you.
Yes. So thank you to everyone who tuned in today for Ask the Race Director. If you have questions even after this, feel free to send us a note on Twitter. We're at CBUS Marathon, or on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/Columbus Marathon, and we will get the answer for you. And I think last year we answered more than 500 questions on Facebook. So we'll get the answer for you if you have a question. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, I do have one more thing to add. Since it looks like I have a minute left or so. I want to hear from you after the event. We're going to send out a survey. We want to know the things that didn't work. And we're trying our best every year to make this event better and better. So send us your notes, respond to that survey so we can get the feedback we need to make the event in 2013 even better than this year, which will be the best ever.
Perfect. I think that's a wrap. We will be posting the archived Q&A with Darris on our blog. So if you weren't able to tune in for all of it, or if you know other people who have some of these questions, feel free to share it with them. It'll be up in the next couple of days. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the start line.